Some houses don't just have technology, they predicted the future before it arrived. 1. Xanadu 2.0. Bill Gates, Medina, Washington. We have to start here. Bill Gates began designing this house back in 1988, and by the time it was finished in the mid-90s, it had a system most of us still don't have today. Every guest gets an electronic pin that tracks them as they move through the house, and the lighting, temperature, and even the music adjust automatically to that person's preferences in whatever room they walk into. The art on the walls is actually digital. Guests can choose what's displayed from a personal device. This was happening before smartphones existed. 2. The Aware Home, Georgia Tech University, Atlanta. This one isn't owned by a billionaire. It's a research lab disguised as a regular house, and it's honestly more interesting because of that. Built starting in 1998 with funding from the Georgia Research Alliance, the Aware Home is a 3-story, roughly 5,000 square foot house packed with sensors studying how technology can help with health monitoring, aging in place, and daily living. Decades before aging-in-place tech became a buzzword in the smart home industry, Georgia Tech researchers were already living the concept inside actual walls. 3. The Adaptive House, University of Colorado, Boulder. This is the one that quietly predicted the entire AI home boom we're living through right now. Back in 1998, computer scientist Michael Moser built a house controlled by a neural network, software that observed how occupants used lighting, heating, and water heating, then learned their patterns and started adjusting things automatically without being told. No voice commands, no app. The house just watched and learned. That's essentially the pitch every smart thermostat company is still making today, almost 27 decades later. 4. PlaceLab, MIT, Cambridge. MIT's House N research group built PlaceLab as a fully instrumented apartment where real volunteers lived for stretches at a time while hundreds of sensors quietly recorded how they actually moved through their daily routines. The point wasn't gadgets for their own sake, it was generating real behavioral data that could be used to design homes that respond intelligently to the people living in them, an idea that's only now showing up in mainstream products as ambient sensing and predictive automation. 5. Honda Smart Home US, UC Davis, California. Opened in 2014 in UC Davis's West Village, this house produces more energy from rooftop solar than it actually uses in a year, while also charging an electric vehicle and feeding surplus power back into the grid. It uses less than half the energy of a comparably sized home in the area and is 3 times more water efficient. The home energy management system Honda built for it balances solar generation, a 10 kilowatt-hour battery, and EV charging automatically, which is exactly the kind of home battery and solar coordination companies are still trying to mainstream in 2026. 6. House Zero, Icon, Austin, Texas. This is one of the most architecturally significant 3D printed homes ever built. Constructed by the robotics company Icon in partnership with the architecture firm Lake Flado, House Zero was completed in 2022 using a giant robotic printer that extrudes a proprietary concrete-based material layer by layer. The curved load-bearing walls aren't just an aesthetic choice, they're structurally impossible to replicate efficiently with traditional framing, and they give the house unusual thermal and storm resistance for its Texas climate. 7. Carnegie Mellon's Intelligent Workspace, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Not a house in the traditional sense, but a full-scale research environment built to test how a building's systems, lighting, shading, ventilation, could respond automatically to changing conditions and occupant needs. It's been running experiments on adaptive building systems since the late 1990s, years before responsive architecture became a phrase people used outside academic papers. 8. Duke University Smart Home Program, Durham, North Carolina. Duke has run a long-running smart home research initiative studying how sensor networks and automation systems can be layered into residential environments for energy efficiency and accessibility. Student-led teams have used it for years to test real automation concepts in a lived-in space rather than a pure lab setting, bridging the gap between theory and an actual home people use every day. 9. Gator Tech Smart House, University of Florida, Gainesville. Built specifically to study assistive technology for older adults and people with disabilities, the GatorTech Smart House used networks of embedded sensors to help with things like fall detection, medication reminders, and automated environmental adjustments. It's frequently cited in smart home research literature as one of the clearest early examples of a house designed primarily around care, not convenience, a focus the broader industry is only now catching up to with fall detection features in mainstream smart speakers. And 10. The Edge, Amsterdam, Netherlands. Technically an office building rather than a residence, but it's worth including because it's one of the most data-driven buildings ever constructed, and it directly shaped how today's smart home thinking scaled up to entire structures. Every workspace, every light fixture, and every climate zone is networked and optimized based on real-time occupancy data, and it became a reference point that residential smart home designers openly studied when building whole house systems. 11. KB Home Project, Los Angeles, California. This is a real estate builder's experimental concept house, developed in partnership with Amazon, designed to showcase what fully voice and AI-integrated production homes could look like at scale, not as a one-off mansion, but as something a tract home builder could eventually mass produce. The idea of baking Alexa-level integration directly into a home's electrical and structural design, rather than bolting it on afterward, was unusual when Project first opened to the public and previewed what builders are now starting to offer as standard. 12. The Monsanto House of the Future, Disneyland, Anaheim, California. This one closes the loop on the whole ahead-of-its-time idea. Opened in 1957 and built almost entirely from plastic, this Disneyland attraction imagined kitchens with microwave ovens, ultrasonic dishwashers, and push-button automation, at a time when most American homes still didn't have a dishwasher at all. It ran for 10 years and was seen by an estimated 20 million visitors, quietly normalizing kitchen technology that wouldn't become common in real houses for another generation. 13. The Xanadu Houses, Kissimmee, Florida. Built in the early 1980s near Disney World, these geodesic-style foam dome homes were marketed as literal homes of the future, complete with early computer-controlled lighting, temperature, and security systems running off home computers that were genuinely cutting-edge for 1983. They operated as a tourist attraction for over a decade before falling into disrepair and eventual demolition in 2005. But the dome construction technique and the early home automation concepts they popularized still echo through prefab and smart home design today. 14. The Casas Smart Home Test Beds, Washington State University. Run by WSU's AI lab, the Casas project has spent years building and instrumenting real apartments to collect detailed datasets on how people move through their daily activities. Researchers use that data to train machine learning models that can recognize routines and detect anomalies, like a missed daily activity that might signal a health problem, which is precursor work to the AI-driven predictive home systems being marketed as breakthrough features in 2026. 15. The Curiosity Lab Smart Corridor, Peachtree Corners, Georgia. This is a full-scale smart city testbed, not a single home, but it deserves a spot here because entire streets of connected residences in this district are wired into a shared 5G network testing autonomous shuttles, smart streetlights, and connected infrastructure that talks directly to nearby houses. It's one of the clearest real-world pictures we have of what a neighborhood of genuinely connected homes, not just individual smart houses, could actually look like.